Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. So today's video, we're going to talk about how to prepare for the next Great Depression. So, the next Great Depression, guys, could be right around the corner. It could also be 5-10 years from now. Being that everything that is going on and the fact that it seems like the stock market today is ran on fear. So every time they mention something scary, fucking people pull their money out like a bunch of bitches. Not the point of the video. Point of the video is how to prepare for the next Great Depression. Now, for those of us that know about the Great Depression, you could skip this part, but the Great Depression, guys, in 1929 was a sudden drop on a Thursday morning, if I'm not mistaken. It caught everybody off guard, even though that there were signs that people ignored. And people, I mean the finance guys. They ignored the signs. It happened. The market dropped. Now, we are looking at another Great Depression, but it's going to be a soft landing Great Depression. So it's not going to be a sudden drop. It's going to lead into the Great Depression. The market's going to drop down steadily right into the Depression. And I mean, we're going to see major drops, but nonetheless, it's going to be sort of like a step down into the Depression. So once we get there, a Great Depression, and let's say in 2024, 2025, is going to make the 1929 look like a hiccup. Simple as that. We have double the amount of people in this country. We have bigger cities as well. We have more people that are going to be out of work than ever, and the government's not going to be able to sustain all of those people out of work. So in turn, we're going to have pandemonium and chaos because of this. And now the pandemonium chaos is not going to start right away. That's going to take a little bit. But nonetheless, once it starts, it's on. So how do we prepare for that? Now, there's a lot of things we can do. One of the things we can do, and I said this before, is canned goods. Make sure you keep buying canned goods. Canned goods are cheaper, though prices of everything's going up. Canned goods are still the cheaper options out of the other options I'm going to explain or talk about in a bit. Canned goods are a way to go. When you go to the supermarket, make sure you find a sale. It's one of those, 5 for $3 sales. Buy them, especially if you like it. Check each can before you put it in your cart. If there's a slight dent, you could still eat it. If it's a heavy dent, I would avoid it. If it's bulging, absolutely avoid it. Bulging means there's possible botulism inside because of the gases that are building up. Make sure you look at the expiration date. Make sure it's not too old. And even then, you look at the expiration date to give you an idea of how long you might have on this food. Now, I've eaten food that have been 8 to 10 years old in canned goods, and not a problem. Never sick. Smelled great, tasted good, or tasted like it did when it was bought the day I bought it. So, just keep that in mind, guys. Canned goods are the way to go. Downside of canned goods is they are heavier. The other side of that is depending on the food or company you go with, they're not as nutritious. So you have to keep that in mind. They are lacking in vitamins and they're lacking in nutrition in some of the canned good foods you might eat. So keep that in the back of your head. As far as being heavy, if you had to bug out and you had to take these things with you, well, they're heavy. So keep that in mind. Super heavy. You might have to pull them out of the can and put them into a plastic baggie if you are bugging out. But if it's a last minute ditch effort bugging out and you have to get the fuck out of there, then you're not sitting there opening cans, dumping them. So just take the cans, put them in a bag and go. I would absolutely say make sure your bug out bag has carryable food in it already. But if you don't have a bug out bag and that is your option, then so be it. I did have a lady in my group, the NYC Preppers group. She did have canned goods in her bug out bag. She did change it after we explained to her why it was a bad idea, but that was all she could afford. She was super broke. But she was able to save up some money and get camping food to put in her bag instead of carrying, which was Chef Boyardee, which what it was, in her bug out bag. Makes your bag super heavy. Means you're not going to go as far. Freeze-dried food, guys. Now, freeze-dried foods are great, but they are pricey. The problem with freeze-dried food is not only they're pricey, but you have to use water to reconstitute them, right? So if you live in an apartment like I do, you're looking at your water supply, and let's say they cut off your water supply, and the water you have saved is all you have. You're going to have to dip into that water to cook your food. So there provides a problem. Now, if you live in a house and you have a well, or you live near a lake and you boil the water already, then fine. Go ahead. Use that water. You can carte blanche. But here you got to consider it. If you're going to be using the water that you saved up that you were meaning to drink and not cook with, then you're going to have a problem. So when you're storing water away, guys, make sure you store water away for cooking and drinking. separate the two. So if you're going to have 20 gallons of water drinking, you better have 20 gallons, actually 15 to 20 gallons of water to cook, because you're not going to need that much water. But it's easier to save the same amount. It just saves you time. Oh, I got 20 gallons of water to cook with. I got 20 gallons of water to drink with. It's just simpler. You can probably do the math and cut down that amount of water to save. Not the point. Freeze-dried food, guys, there's Nutrient Survival, which I'm an affiliate of. The link is down below. The food is very good. Has the nutrients you need to survive a disaster like that. There are also premium freeze-dried foods. The only other one that I eat is called Peak Refuel. It's this here. One of the best on the market, but they are super expensive. They're $13 a pack. So keep that in mind. Very pricey, but still good. Both of them have the nutrition you need to get through whatever disaster you have to get through. MREs, meals ready to eat. That is military meals. They were actually made for the military. They do last a long time. If you look at the dates at the bottom of the, actually you'll see the dates on the box. You look at the date on the box. Some of them have the dates on the package itself. The package are these thick plastic things. They look like this. These MREs are very, very good, but they are high in salt. So if you have high blood pressure issues, I would probably stay away from it and or eat one of these a week, but I wouldn't eat them all the time. Even if you have to eat half the meal, so be it, right? Meals ready to eat are the way to go. They are packed lighter, not as light as freeze-dried food. Freeze-dried foods are super light to carry. So if you had to bug out and you had to choose between freeze-dried foods and MREs, pick the freeze-dried foods, leave the canned goods behind. Unless you're going to use the canned goods as a weapon. It's the only time you put those things in your bug out bag. But guys, freeze-dried foods are the way to go. I would absolutely entertain it. If you do not have the money, do not buy it. Simple. Don't sit there and go, and break the bank buying freeze-dried foods. If you do not have the money, don't buy it. With MREs, make sure you have variety, right? Now, they do have variety in each box. So each box, there's a number on it, and a lot number. Sometimes you can look up online. It'll let you know what's in that box exactly. And then it also lets you know when it was made, so therefore you know how long you have with it. Canning your goods. Now, I just canned my own, chip carrots, and I thought it was awesome. It was probably one of the best things you could ever do. Listen, here's the thing with canning. I was just dragging my feet about it, and I wasn't nervous about doing it. I was like, oh, the canner is going to explode, and it was going to explode. There's fucking too many safety measures on it for it to explode, right? So that being said, I was never nervous about it. I just dragged my feet about it. I was procrastinating. Well, once I did it, and then once I took those cans and put it on my shelves, it dawned on me how much food you can save canning and how much money you can save canning. That's the more important. Probably canning your own foods is probably cheaper than buying canned goods. Buying canned goods is faster, and it is cheap. What's going to cost you for canning your own food is the actual jars, lids, and the canner itself. So that, in essence, costs you money. But when you start packing this shit away, you absolutely start saving money. And not, in the long run, immediately. So if you can a bunch of, let's say, carrots and peas and things like that, you're going to save a lot of money instantly. Yes, you're going to spend some money buying the material, but you're going to save a lot of money. And especially now that you have the canner and jars, you can can like your life depended on it and save so much money and stock so much food away. It dawned on me once I started putting those things on my shelves. So I thought it was pretty, it's a pretty cool way to go. If you have the money for the canning systems, buy it. Buy it, start canning. There's so many YouTubers out there. They're just too many to name. But you can throw a rock and hit a fucking good canning video, and they'll teach you how to can, and there you go. I even did dry canning. Now, some people say dry canning is bad. It's not a method you should do, and it's all this. There's a lot of hoopla about it. Whatever, fuck it. If you're gonna dry can. If you're going to use a pressure canner, use a pressure canner. If you're going to use oxygen absorbers, use oxygen absorber. Whatever it is, guys, put food away, because you put a lot of food away. Sorry, you got to do it. You got to do it once, and you'll see how much food you put away, and you'll be like, holy shit. And then you look at it and go, man, if I continue to do this for a few months, I'll have food for years. So, something everybody should be contending with. It took me forever to get around to it, but when I did, I was hooked. Vacuum sealing your food. Vacuum sealing your food, guys, is another way that you're going to store your food, especially if you have a freezer. One thing about vacuum sealing food and putting it in the freezer is that if you move the vacuum seal bag around too many times, you could pop a hole and then you'll get freezer burn in the food, but that happens rarely. Vacuum sealing is the way to go. It also saves space. If you vacuum seal beans, rice, and you lay it flat, you suck out the air, you could pack those things side by side one another in a bin like I have at the top of my closet. The only problem with some of the plastic bags you use for vacuum sealing is they leave a nasty taste on the rice. We learned the hard way after vacuum sealing rice for a year. We tested it and then ate it. The rice was still good, but it tasted like that plastic. So one of my subscribers actually gave me an idea of using paper bags, putting it in a paper bag, right? One of those flat paper bags. You put it inside, you pour the rice in, and then you vacuum seal it. You leave the plastic bag, you leave the paper bag open so that the air can come out as well, but it won't have that nasty taste of the plastic. So that's an idea. Vacuum sealing will also save you a ton of money. It also saves you a ton of space. It is something that you should be looking into. It's going to cost you money getting the materials and the vacuum sealer, but nonetheless, it is something that everyone should be doing, especially for dried goods like rice and beans and sugar and things like that. Alright guys, so this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching. You can like and subscribe to this channel. You can like and subscribe to the Angry Lensman channel and the Angry Truth channel. And other than that guys, thank you for watching.